What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today do we have a bunch of interesting stuff to talk about. So Bungie actually just gave us our first look at the fabled Comet DLC, which of course is the code name for the big September expansion. This also does confirm a bunch of theories about characters, locations, and things we might do in the DLC because of the stuff they've shown. And of course, on top of that, we're going to be going over some more loot rewards and secrets and bits of news I found that you guys should be aware of. So as always, a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today. Of course, a like rating down below would be much appreciated if you want to support this channel, and let's jump into it. So jumping right into the deep end, we have Destiny 2 Year 2 reveal. This of course is the first look, the first image Bungie have shown off about the Comet DLC or September expansion. I've made a ton of videos since like October speculating that the Reef would be the location for this DLC number 3, and this once again does confirm, in case you had any doubt, the ending cutscene of Destiny 2 after the campaign is the order of where we're going in the game. So all the DLCs, firstly we had Mercury for Curse of Osiris, and then Mars for the Warman DLC. Now it's the Reef, and of course after that is DLC 4, which should be the last one, and that is set around Saturn or Titan or the Dreadnought. The image itself does show these massive rings, which appear to be kind of partly destroyed, but definitely has some kind of significance. I'd imagine this is something to do with where we're going and the location this is set. So there we have it, no more speculation and guessing. The Reef is 100% where we're going in this DLC. So Bungie said they'd like to invite us to catch a glimpse of what they've got planned for the second year of Destiny 2. We've got some big ideas of how we're going to transform your Guardian lifestyle and reinforce your hobby as an interplanetary hero. The big reveal stream is going to be next Tuesday on the 5th of June on Bungie's Twitch channel, of course. But yeah, there's going to be developers on to talk about what's coming. They're going to respond to a bunch of community feedback and also unveil some other things we haven't even been looking forward to. So definitely a lot of cool stuff being shown off, and apparently some unexpected secrets. So going back to the whole Reef thing, let's talk about why this place is important, what we're likely to be doing there, and also who we might see there as well. So the Reef as a place is pretty confusing, but it's basically a massive pile of floating debris set in the asteroid belt, which I believe is in between Mars and Jupiter. The asteroid belt is a real place in the real solar system, but the Reef is basically made after a bunch of ships were destroyed after the collapse. Of course, back in Destiny 1, we were never actually able to fully explore the Reef as a location or patrol it. It was just a place for the one social space, the Veshan Outpost. The main thing, of course, was the Prison of Elders, where you could do a PvE activity, kind of like a horde mode, and also, of course, the Crucible map called the Drifter. Of course, there isn't any solid landmass on the Reef. It's just a bunch of asteroids and space stations. I think some of them have been hollowed out to form bases by the Awoken. So it'll be interesting to see where we're actually going for this, where we're exploring, where is the big patrol area. All that is pretty much up for speculation at this point, but things we do know is that we, of course, are going to see a lot of familiar characters. The main one, of course, being the Queen of the Reef. She is alive, and she did survive the big Dreadnought attack. Also, of course, Prince Aldrin, the Queen's brother, who did have a bunch of kind of Easter eggs and secrets inside the Warmind DLC that I talked about in videos, and there's obviously a bunch of stuff that Bungie are setting up there. In terms of the enemy of this DLC, the Fallen, of course, is the most likely. They've been hardly seen at all in the entire of Destiny 2, so everything's been about the Cabal and the Vex and now the Hive. And of course, the Sabathun DLC is going to be based around the Taken, so it's a very safe bet that this is going to be the Fallen's expansion. Another very big character is, of course, Variks the Loyal. He is our kind of friendly Fallen. He, of course, controls the Prison of Elders, and we still don't know fully if he's on our side or not, if he's going to backstab us. Back in September, I covered in videos how there are lots of Easter eggs in the European Dead Zone that hint about Variks communicating with the Fallen there. So definitely some strange stuff going on with Variks, and of course, as well as that, we have Prince Aldrin, who we know is allied with the Fallen, and even in Warmind, we saw his Fallen crash ship. So the fact there are a bunch of hints and Easter eggs about the Fallen in this game, and also coupling with the fact we've seen nothing from the Fallen so far in Destiny 2, it's very likely to assume we're going to see a lot of them in this DLC. So Tuesday is the big date when we're going to see a bunch of announcements, trailers, cutscenes, all that kind of stuff. But until then, speculate down below in the comments, what do you think is going to be inside this DLC? So moving on, the next thing I wanted to talk about quickly is Escalation Protocol. Bungie are making some pretty big changes. To put it simply, they have lowered the levels of the enemies from wave 4 to 7. So 1 to 3 is still going to be 370, the same as they always were, which is still quite difficult, of course, if you're low leveled. Wave 4 and 5 are getting reduced by a little bit, so they used to be 385, now they're going to be 380. It's wave 6 and 7 which are getting the drastic changes. So of course, they used to be level 400, which is 15 above your max light level. Even if you're there, it's still going to be pretty tough. But now, instead of being 400, wave 6 and 7 are being lowered to 385. And these are active right now in the game. So literally as we're speaking, no update, no patch. They're live right now. These are the changes. So I really do want to know down below in the comments, what do you guys think of this change? I know a lot of you will be happy about this. Some of you won't be happy. Like I also said before, I still would rather if they went down the route of making it much easier to get 9-player fire teams together, whether that be opening up patrol fire teams to be 9 on Mars, or even just a little matchmaking system for 3 fire teams of 3. I mean, the bottom line is that Bungie's goal was for this to be 3-man. You're supposed to be able to 3-man it with, I guess, help of other people randomly. Like I said before in videos, I still don't think this was designed to be a 3-person activity, even 385 max level, and based on these changes, it seems Bungie now thinks so as well. Like I said before, the process of getting 9-player fire teams into Mars is an absolute nightmare and just so complicated. But of course, if you do manage to get a 9-player fire team going, it is a ton of fun. Some of the most fun you can have in this game. Who knows, maybe in the future, Bungie might do a real 9-player activity like this. They definitely hinted towards it and said they'd be looking into the idea. But those are the changes to Escalation Protocol. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Something pretty random is that KD's Blessing, which is an emblem of seeing the game for a while, but nobody has known how to get, hasn't been available. Bungie are now making this emblem available, and you can get it by signing up to their newsletter. I'll try and put a link down below in the description to where you can do that, but it's a pretty cool looking emblem, and obviously it's quite rare and maybe exclusive after a while, so definitely worth grabbing. Of course, KD is the postmaster in the tower, so it does make sense that the postmaster's emblem would be linked to getting email newsletters. So now let's talk about faction rallies. There's some very big stuff here. So the first official event of season 3 is going live also next Tuesday on the 5th of June. So after the Comet DLC reveal, we'll have this to check out. So of course, there are a bunch of very drastic changes here to the previous faction rally events, and a lot of stuff's going to work differently. The first one is something I mentioned in yesterday's video, but Bungie have now announced it. You can only pledge to 1 faction per account for the entire event. Not the entire season, you can change in between events. There's going to be 3 events in season 3, I'd imagine June, July, and August. Your progression and ranks is going to carry over through events, so the June event to July, for example. But it's no longer the case where you pledge to 1 on each character and you win either way and nothing really matters. You pick 1 and then all your characters are going to be on that same faction, but when an event ends, you can choose to change allegiances. So in June's event, you can be Dead Orbit, and then in July's event, you can actually change to be New Monarchy if you want. I'd say most people in the June event, of course, starting on Tuesday, are going to go for Dead Orbit and get that Graviton Arts Catalyst. So the goal, for example, if you were to do that, would be to get all the pieces of loot that you want from Dead Orbit in this first June rally, and then in July's rally, of course, change to New Monarchy, get their loot, and then of course August one change to Future War Cult to get all factions loot. Before you panic about how much time and grinding it's going to take to get to max rank with each faction, I don't think it's going to be too crazy, honestly. This is still Bungie and Destiny 2 we're talking about here, so it's not going to be completely crazy. Something I've talked about before is the Renown system, which is basically a way to get a ton of tokens really fast. I believe it was estimated you need around 1,000 tokens to get a max rank in a faction, so rank 50. So normally based on the old rallies, that's kind of possible. I mean, you can get like easily a couple hundred for a couple hours of grinding in the Lost Sector. But the difference is that with the Renown system, it says players who loot a Lost Sector with Renown active will receive significantly more faction tokens than usual. The more stacks of Renown they have, the more faction tokens they're going to earn. This is what it looks like, which is pretty crazy on your back. You can see in third person, there's a bunch of glowy stuff there, which represents your faction. So before, it definitely was possible to get 1,000 tokens within a few days, I'd say, if you were super hardcore. But now with the Renown system, you're going to get, in their words, significantly more tokens. So I think it's going to be definitely very possible. And again, Bungie are well aware there's only going to be 3 faction rally events in the season, so I'm sure they know how much time it's going to take and make it doable. But once you complete a public event, patrol, or defeat a high value target in any destination, you're going to get stacks of Renown. Now this is basically a buff that's going to last until you die, so you need to make sure you stay alive with it. But while you have it, you're going to have vastly reduced health, and enemies have a chance to drop the health orb, so like the heroic adventure modifier, which is pretty annoying. Your player damage is going to be increased, which I guess is a good thing, and also incoming damage is going to be increased. So it's going to be very drastic, and again, you have to try and kill as much enemies, loot Lost Sector with this buff active and try not to die. So it kind of indirectly makes Lost Sectors interesting. It makes them kind of like a hard mode or like a heroic Lost Sector. You're going to go in there and these enemies are going to be really tough, you're going to be really weak, so it's going to be kind of like a challenge. I think Lost Sectors are definitely the most underutilized content in the entire game. Like, people spent a lot of time making them. They look amazing and they've got really cool designs, but they're just not used at all. So hopefully it does turn out to actually be fun, but in theory, it is a pretty good change. We do of course have the faction loot that's up for grabs, which I've shown off before. I'm really liking the ornament for the Eye of Another World helmet, and of course this Titan's chest piece, which is the ornament for the crest of Alpha Lupi, so very cool looking. I have to say though, the ornament for the Knucklehead radar looks pretty much the same as it always does. I honestly can't notice any change at all. It looks the exact same. There are also of course winning weapons, which in this case is a Dead Orbit shotgun, a Future War Cult sidearm, and a New Monarchy rocket. I've shown them off before, but the perks in these weapons are honestly pretty bad. So the weapons are definitely not the highlight of this event anymore. I think regardless of who wins, the main purpose now is to get to rank 50, get the catalyst and the ornament, and that's going to be the kind of main end game. So a bunch of you guys said in yesterday's video that you'd be pledging to Dead Orbit, but now you can see a bit more of the loot. Does this change your decision? And comment down below who you're going to pledge to. In terms of things Bungie are working on for the next update, they've acknowledged a bunch of bugs and things they need to fix. So Nightfall Strike loot is not dropping at the moment. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, don't bother grinding this week for the DFA because it can't drop. There's some sort of bug and they're trying to fix it, but again, we don't know how long it's going to be. There's also issues with Xbox One's logging in, and also pro-star pengrams with powerful rewards are kind of clashing. It's kind of similar to something I mentioned in a recent video, but basically try to avoid turning in any milestones if you're close to leveling up, because turning it in is going to level you up, and that bright engram or prototype engram might cause you to lose some loot. Now, as well as that, Bungie did also talk a bit about Crucible Labs. They mentioned how the mode Showdown is nothing crazy or drastic, it's basically doubles but 4v4, and also that they're deliberately starting off labs as simple but not just to test Showdown but the process itself. And of course, they said that in the future there will be a lot more kind of drastic modes and more kind of new experiences. Right now they're looking for feedback such as, what did you think of the mode? Was anything confusing? Did anything seem missing? Was there a map that played better or worse on? Was the spawning issues? Were the rounds too short or long? Or was there any sandbox issues? This Crucible Labs itself is going to go offline next Tuesday, again June 5th, a lot of stuff happening then, and hopefully the next one is some kind of new game mode or something exciting, but of course when they do announce it I'll let you guys know. So there you go, a big roundup and discussion of everything that's been announced recently, a lot of exciting stuff. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, a like rating down below is much appreciated. Of course, next week is going to be the big Comet DLC reveal, and then faction rallies, and then E3 the week after, so a ton of Destiny 2 stuff coming out very soon. Gonna have a bunch of videos on my channel that you don't want to miss, so make sure you are subscribed if you're new. Until then though, you can click this image on screen right now to watch another Destiny 2 video from me, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.